Hey, sleepy listener. Welcome to Sleeping Podcast. Where in the world are you listening from? Let us know in the comments. And if you're ready to drift off, like and subscribe. And let's begin.
Hello there, and welcome. It's so good to have you here tonight. Wherever you are, and however your day has unfolded, I invite you now to set everything else aside. Allow yourself to slow down, to soften, to breathe a little more gently. This is your time, your quiet space. And for the next little while, all you need to do is listen and drift and rest. Tonight we'll be taking a journey together. A journey not through bustling cities or noisy streets, not through hurried times or restless thoughts, but instead far back, far back into Earth's deep history. We'll be visiting a time long before human beings, long before mammals, or even dinosaurs. We will be stepping softly into a moment in Earth's past called the Cambrian Explosion, a period when life on our planet blossomed in extraordinary, mysterious ways, a time when the seas stirred with strange and beautiful creatures, many of them unlike anything we could imagine today. As we move slowly through this story, I'll describe the world as it might have looked, as gently and calmly as possible. You may find your imagination beginning to form pictures, or perhaps you'll simply enjoy the rhythm of the words, letting them wash over you like waves. There is nothing you need to hold on to, nothing you need to think about. This is not a test. And there are no right answers, only softness, only curiosity, only rest. And so, let us begin by settling ourselves. Take a slow breath in and let it out slowly, as though you are joining the quiet rhythm of an ancient tide. Feel your body supported wherever you are resting now. The ground or the bed, holding you steadily, gently. You do not need to carry anything. You are safe. You are still. And with each soft breath, we drift further back across years and centuries, back across millions upon millions of years, until the world itself is unfamiliar, until we stand at the edge of something vast. The Cambrian period. It is more than 500 million years ago. The Earth is still young in many ways. The land is quiet, barren, empty. No trees, no birds, no mammals, just rock and sand and sky. But beneath the surface of the seas, something extraordinary is beginning to happen. Life, which had been simple for so long, suddenly begins to change. It multiplies, it diversifies, it takes on colors and shapes and patterns the Earth has never seen before. This is the Cambrian Explosion, a flowering of life, a time of wonder. And tonight, we will move through this world slowly, patiently, step by step, like a gentle tide, moving across the shore. We will notice the seas and the skies. We will look carefully at the creatures who appeared in these waters. Some of them small and delicate, others strange and armored, with forms that look to us now like works of dreamlike art. We will pause often. We will linger. We will drift in, pound, and out of thought, because there is no hurry here, no urgency, only the steady rhythm of time. And as we explore together, you may find yourself becoming more relaxed, more at ease, perhaps even a little sleepy. And that is exactly as it should be. For this is not just a journey into Earth's history. It is also a gentle path into rest, into calm, into sleep. So let us step into this world. The ancient seas are waiting. The soft light of a half-formed sun rests across the waters, and the first great wave of complex life is beginning to stir. You are welcome here. You are safe here. And together we begin. Asterisk. And so we begin to settle into this story, drifting gently, slowly, into the vast oceans of deep time. Before the Cambrian Explosion, the Earth was a very different place. If we could step back even further, hundreds of millions of years before the Cambrian period, we would see a planet that looked, at first glance, strangely quiet. The land was bare. Silent stone stretched across the continents. There were no trees, no grass, no flowers to soften the rocks. Only wind and dust and the long patience of time. But beneath the stillness of the land, the oceans were alive. Not yet with the variety we will soon encounter, but with something more subtle, more simple. For billions of years, life on Earth had been microscopic, tiny, single-celled beings floating in the seas, invisible to the naked eye, yet quietly shaping the planet. These were the earliest architects of Earth's story. Cyanobacteria, small and delicate, were busy creating oxygen, breathing it into the waters and then into the sky. Slowly, over unimaginable stretches of time, the atmosphere thickened, the seas changed, the stage was set, and in the quiet of the pre-Cambrian world, we begin to see the first hints of something more, the first tiny steps toward complexity. Some of these early life forms joined together, forming multicellular bodies. They were soft, gentle, without bones or shells. They lived in shallow waters, anchored to the seafloor, or drifting like faint shadows. This was the Ediacaran period, a prelude to the Cambrian. Here, strange shapes emerged flat, leaf-like organisms resting on the ocean floor. Some looked like discs pressed into the sand. Others resembled fronds, swaying softly in the currents. Creatures with no eyes, no mouths, no hard parts. Life was experimenting, quietly, patiently. Imagine this world for a moment. The seas are calm, stretching wide and endless. The sun filters down through the surface, golden in shallow places, fading into cool blues as it deepens. On the sandy floor lie patterns of these soft-bodied creatures, unmoving yet alive, like gardens made of living fabric. And here and there, in deeper waters, microscopic plankton drift together in great clouds, a soft haze of life stirring gently in the tide. It was a peaceful time, and yet it was also a time of preparation, for something was building, something vast. Over millions of years, environmental shifts took place. The oxygen in the atmosphere and the seas increased. Glaciers advanced, then retreated. Continents shifted. Volcanoes rumbled. The planet, in its own slow rhythm, was setting the stage. And then, in what seems like the blink of a geological eye, the world changed. Life, which had lingered for so long in simplicity, suddenly exploded into diversity. Creatures of astonishing variety filled the oceans. Hard shells appeared, bright colors shimmered, bodies grew limbs and eyes. The Cambrian Explosion had begun, but before we step fully into that moment, let us pause here a little longer, because part of understanding the Cambrian is recognizing the silence that came before, the stillness of the pre-Cambrian world, the soft whisper of the Ediacaran seas. It is like listening to a piece of music, a long, gentle silence before the orchestra begins to play, a quiet so complete it makes the first notes feel even more alive. So too with life on Earth. The Cambrian Explosion was dazzling, yes, but it came after a long pause, a slow gathering of breath as we rest here. On the threshold between two great ages, notice the calm. Notice the way the oceans breathe in long, slow rhythms. Notice the way the land waits, empty, patient. Everything is preparing. Everything is ready. And very soon, the seas will bloom with forms of life beyond imagining. But for now, in this quiet prelude, there is peace, a stillness that stretches across time. And as you breathe here with the ancient world, perhaps you too feel the patience of the earth, the way it moves not in minutes or hours, but in millennia, in eons, in deep, steady tides of change. So let us linger in this silence a little longer. Let us rest here, just before the bloom of life, knowing that when we move forward, we will step into oceans alive with creatures never seen before. And when we do, we will move slowly. We will look gently. We will explore as though walking through a dream. But for now, rest in this still world. Breathe with it. The land, the sea, the sky, all waiting, all preparing for the dawn of the Cambrian. And so, we step softly forward in time, past the quiet hush of the Precambrian, past the still, strange forms of the Ediacaran seas. The earth turns, the waters shift, and the Cambrian period begins. The year is somewhere near 541 million years ago. The stage is ready, and the first great wave of diverse life begins to rise. Imagine yourself here, on the edge of an ancient shore. There is no grass beneath your feet, no trees standing tall, only stone and sand and the endless ocean. The air feels different, young, not quite the same as the air you breathe now, but the sea. The sea is alive. Bend down. Let your vision drift beneath the waves. The sunlight falls through the surface, rippling softly. Shades of gold and pale green move with the water, shimmering downward. And as your gaze adjusts, you begin to notice movement. At first, it is subtle, a flicker here, a shadow there. But then, like a dream sharpening into focus, the shapes become clear. This is no longer the quiet sea of the idiot. This is a sea bursting with color, with texture, with life. Small trilobites crawl across the sandy floor, their hard shells catching the light. They look a little like tiny armored beetles, scuttling with purpose, leaving delicate tracks behind. Bim, nearby, soft-bodied worms weave in and out of the sediment. They burrow gently, leaving little patterns in the sand, like cursive handwriting etched by the sea dot above them. Translucent jelly-like creatures drift slowly. Some are no bigger than your fingertip. Others, wider than your arms could spread. They pulse gently, catching the sunlight, turning the water into a slow, glimmering dance. The Cambrian seas are filled with forms that seem both familiar and strange. Creatures with shells, with spines, with eyes that glimmer in unexpected ways. Some swim freely, others cling to the sea floor. Each one a new experiment, a new expression of life. Let us float a little deeper now. The water cools as we descend. The light softens from bright gold to emerald to deepening blue. Here larger shapes move. A creature glides past an Amelocaris. Its body is long, segmented, flexible. At its front, two great appendages curl forward, like gentle arms reaching outward. Its eyes large and compoundly like jewels, catching every flicker of motion dot to us. It looks alien, but here, in these waters, it is at home. It moves gracefully, like a ribbon in a current, searching for smaller creatures among the sand. Nearby, another form rests, a trilobite, its body tucked close, its shell patterned with ridges. When disturbed, it rolls inward, curling like a pill bug, hiding its softer parts from view. It is one of the first animals to evolve such armor an ideal life will return to. Again and again, across the ages, and then, just beyond, a soft shimmer. Tiny, delicate sponges cling to the rocks. They filter the water slowly, drawing nutrients from the sea. They do not move, they do not chase, but they are alive, and they have been alive for longer than almost any other lineage on Earth. The sea, in this moment, feels like a garden, not a garden of flowers and trees, but of forms and textures and possibilities. Everywhere, life is testing itself. How might one move? How might one eat? How might one protect itself? The questions ripple through the water, answered not with words, but with shapes. Some creatures grow eyes small at first, but powerful in their ability to see light and shadow. Others grow shells, hardening their bodies for protection. Some lengthen into swimmers, others flatten into crawlers. Each one is part of the same unfolding story. Each one carries the earth forward into something richer, more complex. And as you drift here, watching, noticing, you may feel a sense of wonder. Not the loud kind of wonder, not the overwhelming kind, but the quiet wonder that comes from watching a tide roll in or a candle flicker. Gentle, steady, calming. Because even though this moment is unimaginably far away, even though these creatures are unlike anything alive today, there is something familiar here, something soothing, the rhythm of life, the slow unfolding of change, the steady patience of the earth. And just as these ancient seas carry life gently forward, you too are carried forward, softly, safely, on the current of this story. We will linger here for a while longer, noticing the patterns of movement, the way trilobites scuttle in groups, the way delicate worms burrow and weave, the way shimmering plankton catch the light as they drift. The ocean is never still. It breathes in tides. It whispers in currents. And here, in the Cambrian, it whispers of beginnings. The first light of these seas has revealed itself. The garden, of early life has opened. And with each passing moment, it grows. Soon, more forms will appear, more experiments, more strange and beautiful bodies to fill the oceans. But for now, rest in this scene. Let your breath rise and fall like the tide. Let your mind drift like a trilobite across the sand. Let the quiet rhythm of the Cambrian seas carry you gently, slowly, peacefully. The world has only just begun to bloom, and we are here to see its first light. Asterisk. And so we turn our gaze a little closer, into the sandy floors and shallow waters of the Cambrian seas. For here, among the most enduring symbols of this age, we find the trilobites. They are small at first glance, perhaps the length of your finger, sometimes smaller, sometimes larger. But there is something about them that draws the eye, something steady, purposeful, enduring. Their bodies are divided into 3 parts: a head shield at the front, a series of segments running along the middle, and a tail shield at the end. Like tiny armored travelers, they scuttle across the sea floor. Their many legs move in rhythm, carrying them carefully over sand and stone. As they walk, their shells gleam softly, catching the filtered sunlight from above. Trilobites are among the first animals to wear armor. Their exoskeletons give them strength, protection, and shape. And this design is so successful, so resilient, that it will be repeated again and again across the history of life, in crabs, in beetles, in countless shelled creatures that follow. But here, in these ancient seas, the trilobites are pioneers, the first great wanderers of their kind. Pause for a moment and imagine their world. The ocean floor stretches wide, a pale canvas of sand and silt. Here and there, rocky outcrops rise like islands. Tiny sponges cling to them, filtering water. Soft-bodied worms weave below, and across this landscape, the trilobites move steadily, some in small groups, some alone, their legs tapping lightly against the sand, their antennae sweeping gently, sensing the world around them. Some graze, searching for bits of food among the sediment. Some burrow shallowly, tucking themselves close to the earth. Others swim for short bursts, paddling their legs in coordinated motion, rising a little above the seafloor before settling again. There is no rush here, no frenzy, only the slow, methodical rhythm of life. Every so often, one pauses. It curls inward, its shell folding around itself. A perfect spiral of protection, shielding its softer underside. And then, when the moment passes, it unfurls again, returning to its journey. It is a gentle, almost meditative cycle. Walk, pause, curl, unfurl, continue. And as you watch these ancient travelers, you may feel a calmness in their rhythm, a reminder that life, even in its earliest moments, moved with patience, with care, with balance. The trilobites lived not for years, but for hundreds of millions of years. Their story would stretch far beyond the Cambrian, across vast ages of Earth's history. But here, in these first seas, they were only just beginning. Notice the patterns they leave behind, delicate trails pressed into the sand, marks that might last only until the next current sweeps through, or might linger, fossilized, waiting to be discovered 500 million years later. These trails, these quiet signatures, tell us something, that even the smallest wanderers leave behind a trace, a story, a path through the silence. Perhaps, as you picture this, you feel your own breath slowing, your thoughts leaving little trails behind them as they drift. And like the trilobites' path, they need not last forever. They can simply come and go with the tide. For the trilobites, the sea was both home and protector. The currents brought food, the sand offered shelter, the shells gave safety. Life was unfolding in new ways, but always with a gentle balance. Some trilobite grew larger, their armor thicker, their bodies stronger. Others remained small, quick, subtle. Some lived in shallow waters where sunlight touched the sand. Others ventured deeper, where the world grew darker, quieter. Everywhere they went, they carried the same design, segmented, armored, enduring. And as we linger here, noticing them, following them gently with our gaze, we see how they shaped the ocean floor, how their steady movement turned the seabed into a living tapestry, a shifting artwork of trails and tracks and burrows. This is not a loud history. It is not a history of great leaps or sudden noise. It is a history of patience, of small steps, of quiet persistence. And perhaps that is why it feels so calming to imagine them now. Because in their rhythm, we are reminded that progress need not be rushed, that safety can be found in stillness, that time itself moves like a tide, slow and unhurried, as the trilobites scuttle onward. The Cambrian seas continue to bloom around them. New creatures stir in the currents. New forms take shape. But for now, we rest with these armored wanderers, watching them crawl gently across the sand, noticing the shimmer of their shells, following the soft marks they leave behind. They carry us deeper into the Cambrian story, steady, calm, unhurried. And as we move with them, we too are carried forward gently into the next chapter of life. And now, as the trilobites move steadily across the sand, we let our gaze drift upward, toward the open water, toward the softer, more fragile shapes that drift and shimmer here. For not all Cambrian life was armor, not all carried shells or spines or plates of protection. Many were soft, delicate, and ephemeral, creatures that floated like fabric in the current, creatures that pulsed like lanterns of light. Imagine the water around you. It shimmers with countless tiny bodies, translucent, weightless, drifting in slow patterns. Some are comb jellies, their bodies almost invisible but for the faint rainbows that ripple across them as they move. Tiny rows of cilia beat in unison, catching the sunlight, creating flashes of blue, green, and violet. Each pulse is gentle, like a breath. Each movement is calm, unhurried. Nearby, early sponges cling to rocky surfaces. They do not swim, they do not chase. Instead, they wait patiently, drawing water through their porous bodies, filtering, cleansing, existing in stillness. They are among the simplest of animals, and yet among the most enduring. And then there are worms, long and soft-bodied. Some glide slowly over the seabed, leaving narrow trails. Others burrow quietly below the surface, unseen except for the faint ripples they create, each one contributing to the quiet rearrangement. Sand, and sediment. This is the garden of soft-bodied life, not a garden of flowers, but of forms, each one delicate, fleeting, and yet deeply essential. As you watch, you might imagine these waters as a slow-moving ballet, every creature playing its part. The comb jellies with their flickering lights, the worms with their weaving trails, the sponges with their still patience. The sea is not only alive with motion, it is alive with balance, every small form serving its place in the whole. Let us float more deeply into this garden. The light dims as we move downward, but the shapes remain. A ribbon-like creature drifts past, twisting and coiling in graceful arcs. Its body is soft and translucent, its path slow, like a streamer of silk carried by the tide. Another creature hovers nearby, its body flattened, leaf-like, moving gently with the current. It resembles the strange forms of the Ediacaran, a reminder that life does not change all at once. The old lingers alongside the new, blending together, layer upon layer, and just beyond, in the dimness, small colonies of creatures gather. Some branch upward like tiny trees, their fronds swaying in the water. Others form mats across the sand, soft cushions of life that cover the seabed. It is a world of quiet textures, not bold or striking, but subtle, persistent, steady. Pause here. For a moment, imagine the feeling of being surrounded by these soft forms. The water is cool and clear. The creatures move slowly, gracefully. There is no rush, no noise, no conflict. It is like floating in a dream, like drifting in a field of silk and light. And as you linger here, perhaps you notice your own body softening, the tension in your shoulders loosening, your breath becoming smoother, easier, as if you, too, are part of this soft-bodied garden. These creatures, though fragile, are not weak. They represent resilience of another kind, the strength of stillness, the power of patience, the endurance of simplicity. For even as life became more complex in the Cambrian seas, these delicate forms remained. Not every creature needed armor. Not every creature needed speed. Some survived and thrived by simply being. And so, as you rest in this world, you might feel a quiet appreciation that life comes in many forms, that there is beauty in softness, that strength does not always mean hardness or speed or force. The Cambrian seas remind us that stillness has its place, that drifting, waiting, existing gently is its own kind of survival. Let us drift upward now, back toward the brighter waters. The comb jellies continue their shimmering dance. The sponges stand rooted, patient as ever. The worms weave their paths below, dot all around. The sea feels alive, yet calm, a balance of motion and stillness, a harmony of shapes and textures. This is the garden of soft-bodied life, delicate, fleeting, and yet eternal. And as we move forward in our journey through the Cambrian seas, we carry this softness with us, a reminder that in the vast story of Earth, gentleness has always had its place. The trilobites march on. The soft-bodied creatures drift in silence, and together they weave the first great tapestry of life in Earth's oceans. The Cambrian seas, so full of delicate forms and steady wanderers, were also home to something new, something that marked a quiet shift in the story of life, the rise of the first true hunters. Among them was a creature called its name means strange shrimp, and to our modern eyes it does indeed appear unusual. But here, in the waters of the Cambrian, it is a master of its world. Imagine the shape of it as it glides past. Its body is long and segmented, tapering into a flexible tail. Along its sides, rows of flaps move in gentle waves, propelling it forward with effortless grace. It swims not in jerks or sudden movements, but in smooth, flowing motions, like a ribbon carried by the tide. At its front extend to large appendages, curved and spined, like elegant arms reaching outward. With them, it can grasp and hold smaller creatures, drawing them inward. And then, at its center, a circular mouthline, with plates that move like petals of a flower turns and closes. To us, it looks alien, but to the Cambrian seas, it is simply another experiment in the grand design of life. Its eyes are remarkable for their time. Large, compound, and sensitive, they catch even the faintest flicker of motion in the water, where so many creatures still move blindly or with little sense of their surroundings. Anomalocaris sees, it notices, it follows, and yet, though it is a hunter, it does not rush. It glides calmly, with patience, with quiet precision. The trilobites scuttle below. The soft-bodied worms weave through the sand. The comb jellies drift above, and Anomalocaris moves among them, part of the same slow rhythm. It is not a world of frenzy or violence. Even here, with the first predators emerging, the sea remains balanced. For every hunter, there is stillness. For every chase, there is drifting. Life unfolds not in chaos, but in harmony. Picture this moment. The water is clear, the sunlight soft. Trilobites cross the sand in steady lines. Above them, a ribbon-like worm floats idly. And then, with a graceful sweep, Anomalocaris glides through. Its arms extend, curling gently around its prize. Its body shifts, tail flexing, flaps undulating, and in silence it continues on its way. There is no sound here but the quiet breath of the sea. No noise but the steady pulse of water. Even the movements of hunter and hunted are soft, dreamlike, like shadows drifting through the current dot. To imagine these first hunters is not to imagine fear, or violence, or struggle. It is to imagine balance. A new note in the song of life, blending with those that came before. And as you watch, perhaps you feel something stir within you. A recognition that all things evolve, that every story adds a new layer, that even the quietest seas carry within them the seeds of change. The rise of Anomalocaris marks such a moment, the beginning of eyes watching, the beginning of motion following motion, the beginning of a more intricate dance between life and life. But here, tonight, we hold it softly. We let the image remain gentle, the hunter gliding gracefully, the trilobite curling quietly, the waters carrying them both. Pause here a while. Imagine floating alongside Anomalocaris, its long body shimmering in the light. Imagine its eyes turning slowly, noticing, reflecting. Imagine the way the current moves across its flaps, steady and rhythmic, like the beat of a heart. It has no need for haste. It has no need for noise. It is simply part of the sea's unfolding story. And as we linger here, perhaps you feel your own breath taking on the same rhythm. In and out, slow, steady, effortless. The sea carries you, just as it carries these ancient creatures. The water supports you, just as it supports them. There is no weight here, no burden, only drifting, only being. Anomalocaris moves on, vanishing slowly into the blue. The trilobites resume their steady walk. The worms burrow again. The comb jellies shimmer softly. The first hunters have arrived. Yes, but the garden of life continues to bloom, unbroken, balanced, peaceful, and so we move gently onward in our journey. Carried by the same tide, the Cambrian seas still have more to reveal. More shapes, more experiments, more wonders waiting in the light. For now, let the image of Anomalocaris drift in your mind. Not fierce, not frightening, but graceful, slow, enduring. Another piece, out of Earth's early story, carried gently into the present. Asterisk, and so, the seas grow fuller, the currents richer, the tapestry of life more intricate with each passing moment. The Cambrian explosion is not a single spark, not a sudden flash. It is a bloom, a slow and steady flowering across millions of years. One shape giving rise to another, one idea of life branching into many. Imagine looking out across these waters now, where once there were only trilobites, worms, and drifting jellies. There are now countless forms, moving, gliding, settling, shining. Small shelled creatures scuttle across the sand. Their patterns vary, some with long spines, some smooth, some ridged like the bark of trees that will not exist for hundreds of millions of years. Each one a variation on a theme, each one testing a new way to be. Above them, delicate arthropods flicker in the water column. Some are tiny, no larger than grains of rice. Others stretch the length of your hand. Their legs move quickly, yet their paths are gentle, weaving in and out like dancers in a slow performance. Asterisk nearby, early mollusks appear. Simple shells, spiraled or conical, holding soft bodies within. They cling to rocks or inch across the seabed, leaving faint trails in the sediment. Their movements are unhurried, almost invisible. Yet they, too, are part of the bloom, and in the open waters, larger forms glide, some with long, leaf-like fins, some with strange appendages that wave like banners, some with bodies shaped like shields, drifting as though suspended in dreams. Everywhere, life is trying something new. Everywhere, the sea feels full of possibility. Pause for a moment and let yourself imagine the scene as a vast underwater meadow. Not a meadow of grass or flowers, but of shapes, bodies, and colors. A living field, blooming not upward into air, but outward into water. Each creature is a petal, each motion a breeze, each shimmer of light across a shell or ripple of a fin. A reminder that the earth is alive in ways it has never been before. And as you rest here, floating gently among them, you may feel a sense, thighs, because even in this world of endless variety, there is no chaos, only harmony, only balance, only the patient unfolding of life's possibilities. Some of these creatures will not last. Their shapes will vanish in time, leaving only faint fossils as reminders. But in this moment, they are real, they are present, they are part of the bloom. And perhaps that, too, is calming. The idea that not everything must endure forever, that it is enough simply to be here now, part of the unfolding. The bloom of the Cambrian is not just about survival, it is about expression. Life reaching outward, testing its edges, finding its voice in countless quiet ways. Some forms grow armor, some grow eyes, some grow long, flowing limbs, some stay soft, drifting in the currents. Each one is part of the same great painting, brushed gently across the canvas of the sea dot. Notice how the trilobites continue their steady march. Notice how the sponges remain rooted, still filtering, still waiting. Notice how the comb jellies continue to shimmer softly, even as new forms arrive. The old ones remain. Together, they create a harmony of then and now. This is how the bloom unfolds, not by replacing, but by layering, not by rushing, but by adding, not by noise, but by quiet accumulation. And so the Cambrian seas grow richer. Every year, century, every million years, more forms join, more experiments take shape, more lives begin and end, leaving their traces behind. Pause here again. Take a slow breath. as though you are breathing with the sea, in and out. Imagine your breath as part of this bloom, a ripple in the current, joining all others. The Cambrian Explosion is vast, but also intimate. It is not only the story of Earth, but of you, too. For every life today, every creature, every person carries within them the echoes of this bloom. The first eyes, the first shells, the first limbs, all born here in these quiet waters, so long ago. And so, as you float among the Cambrian seas, surrounded by creatures strange and beautiful, let yourself feel at home. For in a way, this is your home, the beginning of the path that leads to you. The bloom of diversity continues, filling the seas, enriching the world. It is not loud, it is not hurried. It is simply life, unfolding as it always has, in steady rhythm. The trilobites wander on, the worms burrow and weave, the sponges filter the currents, the kerm jellies shimmer, and all around them, new forms drift, scuttle, glide, and bloom. It is a garden without end, a meadow without edges, a sea alive with possibilities. And we, drifting here, are carried gently by the same tide. Asterisk, until now, life has been moving gently through currents, guided by touch, by scent, by the subtle pull of water. But something new is arriving in these oceans, something delicate, powerful, and full of wonder. The first eyes, not like ours, not yet sharp, not yet complex, but small, clusters of light-sensitive cells, little windows that can sense brightness and shadow, the beginnings of vision. Imagine being here in the water, watching as the light of the ancient sun filters down. It shimmers across the ripples, breaks into beams, scatters across shells and sand. Some creatures now can see this, not in detail, not as a picture, but as a rhythm of brightness and dimness. To them, the world becomes different. The dark is no longer only a feeling. The light is no longer only warmth. It becomes something to notice, something to follow, something to respond to. A trilobite, with its many-faceted eyes, turns toward the glow. Its lenses, made of the mineral calcite, are sturdy and clear. They gather the rays, allow this creature to notice patterns, shapes, perhaps even movement. For the first time, the sea is not only touched, not only smelled, but seen. Elsewhere, tiny worms develop simple eye spots, just a scattering of cells that darken when light strikes them. They cannot see shapes, but they can sense direction. And so they turn, wriggle, move gently toward the safer shadows of the seafloor. This is the language of light, soft, silent, but guiding. One creature turns toward brightness, another hides in darkness. One follows the shimmering above, another burrows away from it. And with this, the dance of the Cambrian changes, not faster, not louder, but more aware, more attuned, more alive. Pause here for a moment and imagine yourself as one of these beings, not with eyes like your own, but with the soft beginnings of vision. Shadows shifting, light deepening, a sense of brightness ahead, darkness behind. It is simple, and yet it is everything. Notice how the sun above the sea becomes a guide. Notice how the sand below glows faintly in the scattered beams. Notice how the bodies of other creatures drift as silhouettes in the water. What was once unseen is now softly revealed. Some creatures evolve eyes on stalks, allowing them to peer above the sand while remaining hidden. Others develop many small eyes, spread across their bodies, catching glimmers from all directions. Each new shape, each new design, is a way of learning this language of light. And so, slowly, vision spreads, not all at once, not in a rush, but in many small experiments, each one adding to the bloom of diversity that fills these seas. Imagine again the trilobites, their compound eyes wide and faceted. Through them, the world is broken into many fragments, many tiny pieces of brightness. Like a mosaic of light, each piece shimmering, shifting, blending into the whole. Put a calm, flickering view of a world alive. The Cambrian Sea itself becomes a canvas for light. The sun above paints beams into the water. The surface ripples, bending the rays into wavering patterns. Shadows stretch and fold across the seafloor. And within this painting, creatures move, now seen, now hidden, now glowing faintly in the glow dot. It is not just survival, it is awareness, the simple gift of noticing, the gentle wonder of seeing, and in time, this gift will grow. From these first eyes, from these soft beginnings, will come all the vision the world will ever know. The gaze of birds in flight, the eyes of cats glowing at night, the wonder of humans looking at stars, all of it born here, in these quiet seas, under this ancient light. But for now, we rest in this moment, the very first chapter of vision, the language of light, spoken for the first time. Let yourself drift into it. Imagine the light above you, soft and golden. Imagine the water carrying it down, breaking it into delicate beams. Imagine small creatures turning toward it, following it, sensing it in ways never felt before. This is the story of eyes, a slow unfolding, a gentle opening, a quiet awareness, and as you breathe slowly in and out, you may feel that same awareness within yourself. The gift of noticing light, the calm of seeing softly, the comfort of knowing you are part of this long, ancient story. The Cambrian seas continue to bloom. The creatures continue to explore new forms. And now, with vision, the world is more alive than ever before. The shapes of shells, the ripples of fins, the shimmer of jellies, all revealed softly, gently, in the glow of light dot. And so the language of light continues to spread, one glimmer at a time, one shadow at a time, one quiet moment after another. The eyes of the Cambrian are open, and through them the world is new. Asterisk, the seas of the Cambrian have grown more vivid, more alive. Creatures with shells, with eyes, with new ways of moving, have begun to fill the waters. And among them, slowly drifting, are the first giants of this world. One of them is called Anomalocaris. Its name means strange shrimp, a name given long after its time by humans puzzling over its fossilized remains. But here, in these living seas, it is no puzzle. It moves with grace, with a quiet rhythm, gliding through the water. Imagine it now, its body long and flexible, undulating softly as it swims. Along its sides, rows of flaps ripple, catching the current, carrying it forward. At its front, too, curved arms reach gently outward, moving like soft paddles in the tide. Its mouth, a round circle of plates, opens and closes slowly, like the petals of a flower turning to the sun. To us, it may look unusual. To its world, it is simply one more shape in the endless experiment of life. Neither terrifying nor harsh, but part of the quiet balance of this sea. Around it, trilobites scuttle across the sandy floor. Worms wiggle into burrows. Jellies drift, translucent and glowing. And through this scene, Anomalocaris moves calmly, like a great drifting shadow, stirring the water as it passes. Though it may feed on smaller creatures, it is not cruel. It simply follows the rhythm of life, one being nourished by another, one cycle flowing into the next, all of it part of the ancient stillness of the ocean. Pause for a moment and picture yourself near it, not in fear, but in wonder, floating beside this gentle giant, watching as its body bends and ripples in the current. Its flaps move like ribbons in water. Its arms curl and uncurl, slow and deliberate, till its eyes, large and aware, take in the shimmering light. There is no hurry, no chase, only the steady drifting of a creature well suited to its time. Anomalocaris is not alone. Other large beings share this ocean. Some grow wide, their bodies shaped like discs, gliding softly above the seabed. Others extend long, ribbon-like forms, weaving gently between beams of light. Some drift passively, their bodies catching tiny food from the currents. Others move more actively, slow but steady, their shapes cutting through the water like quiet vessels. Each one, though called a predator, belongs to this calm order. None are fierce in the way we might imagine. They are balanced, they are graceful, they are part of a sea that is learning how to live, how to move, how to grow. Even the trilobites, scuttling below, play their role with ease. When a shadow passes above, they pause. When the water stirs, they tuck gently into the sand. And when it is safe again, they emerge, resuming their quiet search for food. This is not a world of fear. It is a world of cycles, a soft exchange between light and dark, stillness and movement, growth and return. Imagine yourself lying on the seafloor, watching all of this unfold above you. The light falls in shifting beams. The water bends and flows, and the large forms move. These Cambrian giants drift across your view like slow clouds in an ancient sky. From time to time, you notice the ripple of flaps, the curve of arms, the turn of a body moving gently into the distance. Each one disappears into the haze of water, leaving only quiet swirls behind. The sea returns to calm, to stillness, to silence. And so the Cambrian continues. Each creature, large or small, plays its part in this great unfolding. Anomalocaris, once the giant of its time, glides steadily, unhurried. Its movements are neither rushed nor wasteful. They are measured, almost meditative, as if the sea itself were guiding it. With every beat of its body, with every ripple of its flaps, it is teaching us something, that even the largest, even the strongest, can move with gentleness, that even in a world of survival, there can be balance and grace. And perhaps, as you listen, you feel that same lesson flowing through you, a reminder that strength does not always roar. Sometimes it drifts quietly. Sometimes it moves slowly, softly, like a shadow in the water. Breathe in and imagine the long form of Anomalocaris beside you. Breathe out and let it glide away into be distant. Breathe in again and picture the trilobites below, steady and calm. Breathe out and feel yourself becoming part of this sea. The Cambrian world is not rushed. It unfolds in its own time, and so do you. You, too, are part of this ancient rhythm, quiet, steady, at ease. And as the gentle giants drift away into the dim blue, the ocean remains whole, unbroken and calm. The cycle continues. The world breathes on. Asterisk, we have floated with trilobites. We have drifted beside the gentle giants of the Cambrian seas. And now we arrive at another wonder. The quiet beginnings of reefs. Today, when we think of reefs, we might picture bright tropical waters, coral branching in vivid shapes, fish swimming in dazzling colors. But here, in the Cambrian seas, the reefs are simpler, softer, more muted. Not yet coral, but humble structures built by sponges, algae, and small colonies of early creatures. Still, they are gardens in their own way, safe havens, rising gently from the seafloor, homes for trilobites, shelters for worms, resting places for delicate creatures drifting in the currents. Imagine yourself approaching one of these early reefs. It is not tall, not sprawling, but modest and low. Its shape is uneven, formed by many small layers built slowly over time. At its surface, sponges anchor themselves, their bodies full of tiny pores, drawing water through with steady rhythm. Each sponge breathes in the ocean, filters its nutrients, and gives back clean, flowing currents. Listen closely. Can you hear the sound of water moving through them? It is soft, almost like the hush of your own breath. Inhale, exhale. The reef breathes with you. Around the sponges grow mats of algae, spreading like carpets of gentle color. They are not bright, but deep green, muted blue, sometimes soft brown. Together, they catch the sunlight that filters down, turning its energy into life. In their quiet way, they are gardeners of this ancient sea. Between the algae and the sponges, other creatures settle. Small worms weave tunnels in the reef's foundation. Tiny shells cluster in groups, adding their weight, their presence, to the growing structure. Over many years, these small lives leave behind layers, one upon another, forming the base of something greater than themselves. It is here that trilobites come to rest. They crawl across the uneven surfaces, searching for food. Sometimes they pause in the shadows of the sponges, hiding from the drifting giants above. Sometimes they simply remain still, their bodies blending with the reef's rough texture, part of its living tapestry. Close your eyes now and picture this ancient garden. The reef is not loud, it does not shine, but it holds a quiet richness. It is a place where many small beings gather together, creating something larger, something lasting. Above the reef, the water is filled with light. Tiny particles drift downward, like slow-motion snow, settling gently on the surfaces below. Each particle feeds something small. Each small thing becomes part of something larger, and the reef grows, little by little, breath by breath. These early reefs are nurseries. They are shelters. They are quiet keepers of life. And though they may not look like the coral gardens of today, they carry the same spirit. They are communities. They are homes. Perhaps as you drift here in imagination, you feel the calm of this place. The reef does not move quickly. It does not chase. It only grows, slowly, patiently, without hurry. Its pace is timeless. Its work is quiet. And yet, it changes the sea around it. Small fish-like creatures pass through, using the reef as shelter. Delicate worms stretch outward, swaying with the water. Tiny shells cling to the surface, held safely in place. Each being is connected to the next. Each one gives and receives. Together, they form a gentle balance. Now, imagine lying among the wreath's shapes. The sponge walls rise softly beside you. Algae mats spread like cushions across the stone. The water moves slowly around you, carrying faint threads of light. The reef becomes a cradle, a resting place, a garden where all is still. Take a deep breath with it now. Inhale as the sponges draw the water through themselves. Exhale as they release it back again. Inhale as the algae stretch toward the light. Exhale as the shadows sway with the current. You are breathing with the reef. You are part of its rhythm. And though millions of years will pass, though these reefs will rise and fall and change into new forms, the essence will remain. A place where small things come together. A place where life builds, gently, patiently, into something greater. In the stillness of the Cambrian seas, these early reef builders quietly shape the future. They prepare the way for coral. They prepare the way for fish. They prepare the way for all the living worlds to come. But for now, they remain simple gardens, quiet havens of stone, sponge, and algae, resting places for the creatures of the Cambrian, and resting places, too, for us, in imagination, in dream, in the slow drifting toward sleep. And so we leave them, not with haste, but with gratitude. These first reefs remind us that beauty does not always shout. Sometimes it whispers. Sometimes it waits. Sometimes it simply breathes in and out as the ocean passes gently through. And as we drift onward, we carry that whisper with us. Be soft, patient rhythm of the reef. Asterisk, we have rested beside the reefs. We have listened to their quiet rhythm. Now we drift further into the wider seas, into the growing web of life that begins to connect, thread by thread, across the Cambrian world. Ecosystems. That is the word we use today. But here, in these ancient oceans, they are only beginning to take shape. Small communities forming, growing, reaching outward, until together they become something greater. Picture the sea as a great open fabric. Each creature is a thread. Each movement, each breath, each quiet life weaves into the whole. Nothing stands alone. Everything belongs. Asterisk, the trilobite who stirs the sand in search of food, unknowingly creates trails that other creatures follow. The sponges who breathe in the ocean clean the water for others to use. The algae who stretch toward sunlight provide energy that will ripple outward, carried from the smallest mouths to the largest. And so, slowly, the pattern grows. Close your eyes and imagine drifting through this unfolding web. The water is calm. The light is soft. Tiny particles of food drift downward, sinking toward the seafloor. Worms gather them. Trilobites eat the worms. Larger creatures drift in and eat the trilobites. And then they, too, return to the ocean, feeding it once more. Nothing is wasted here. Even in stillness, life moves in circles. One being's end becomes another's beginning. The balance is simple. The balance is complete. As the ecosystems expand, new shapes of life appear. Some float gently, catching food with delicate arms. Some scurry across the sands, stirring the grains with their tiny legs. Some hover in the middle waters, waiting for what drifts by. Together they fill every space, above, below, between, and you, dear listener, may imagine yourself floating among them, not separate, but part of the flow. Your body as light as the water around you. Your breath moving with the ocean's gentle rhythm. Inhale, exhale, the same cycle, again and again. Now, let us pause to notice the stillness. Though this sea holds many lives, it does not feel crowded. There is room for all. Each creature moves with quiet purpose, unhurried, unforced. Each finds its place, its role, its balance. Perhaps this is the first whisper of cooperation in the history of Earth, the first weaving of a great tapestry of life. Not through choice, not through plan, but through the simple flow of energy, passed from sun to algae, from algae to creature, from creature back to the sea dot. And slowly, as this web expands, the ocean itself begins to change. The water grows clearer, carried by the breath of sponges. The seafloor grows richer, layered with the remains of many small lives. The surface waters sparkle with drifting plankton, their numbers growing with each day. The sea is alive, alive in ways it has never been before. Pause here with me. Imagine standing at the shore of this ancient ocean. You look out across the water. At first, it seems quiet, empty, but as you watch, you notice every ripple, every flicker of light, every shadow is touched by life. The surface holds drifting specks of algae. The middle waters hold swimmers, slow and graceful. The bottom holds crawlers and diggers, shaping the sand. From top to bottom, the ocean is full. The ecosystems expand not through haste, but through time. Millions of years pass, each moment building upon the last. A worm digs a tunnel. The tunnel opens a space for water to flow. The flowing water brings food for other creatures. And so, a new niche, a new balance, a new home is made. Listen to that word, home. Even here, in this vast and ancient ocean, life is finding its homes. Some in reefs, some in open water, some deep in the sand. Everywhere, small sanctuaries are forming. Everywhere, life is learning to belong. The expansion of these ecosystems marks a turning point. Before, the world was quiet, scattered, slow. Now it begins to connect. Now it begins to breathe as one. And perhaps you, resting now, may feel that same connection, that same belonging. Your breath feeding the air feeding the trees feeding the world. Everything, everywhere, part of the same cycle, part of the same whole. The Cambrian seas are the beginning of that story. The first great weaving of life into balance. The first gentle harmony. Many voices, many shapes, many lives. And though they are long gone, the pattern remains. It has grown, expanded, become forests, fields, skies, and rivers. But here, in these ancient waters, it was just beginning. And so, as we leave this part of the journey, let us carry the image with us. A sea alive with quiet connections. A web woven slowly, patiently, without hurry. A balance so complete, it feels like rest. Rest for the trilobite. Rest for the sponge. Rest for you. Everything connected. Everything whole. Everything at peace. Asterisk. We have floated through the weaving of life's web. Now, let us turn our eyes upward, toward the light. For even here, in these ancient oceans, light is the quiet painter. It moves across the water in soft ribbons. It bends, scatters, and glimmers, bringing shape to the sea and rhythm to the lives within it. Imagine the early Cambrian sun rising over the horizon. It shines brighter than it did in Earth's earliest ages, but softer than the sun you know today. Its warmth touches the waves. Its light spills downward, entering the clear waters. At the surface, the light dances, rippling, shimmering, never still. Each wave bends the sunbeam, twisting it into liquid patterns. From above, it looks like glitter. From below, it looks like lace. The sea becomes a living mosaic of brightness and shadow. Close your eyes now and picture yourself floating, Just beneath the surface, above, the sun shimmers. Below, the light breaks into beams, stretching downward. You feel as though you are lying beneath a stained glass ceiling, where the colors shift with every ripple and the patterns never repeat. This is the world of the Cambrian creatures. They live by this shifting light. They rise with it, drift with it, feed with it. When the beams are strongest, the algae bloom, gathering energy. When the beams soften, the rhythm slows, and the waters rest. Light is their clock, their guide, their endless companion. Now let us travel deeper. As we sink, the light begins to fade. At first, it is golden and bright. Then it softens to green, a gentle glow that wraps the water in calm. Deeper still, the green turns to blue, soft, silent, dreamlike, until at last, in the far depths, the light disappears altogether. There, in the still darkness, only shadows move, but in the shallows, life thrives on this play of brightness. Trilobites scuttle, pour across the sand, following the changing glow. They pause in the shadows, then return to the beams. Small floating creatures drift upward, basking in the warmth. Others hide in the shaded spaces, waiting, patient, still. All move with the rhythm of light. You may imagine the whole ocean as a great cathedral of shifting colors. The sun is its window, the waves are its glass, and every living thing within it is touched by its glow. Sometimes clouds drift across the Cambrian sky. When they do, the light softens and the sea grows. Calm, the beams dim, the rhythms slow, as though the ocean is breathing in. And when the clouds pass, the light returns, bright and playful, and the ocean breathes out again. A daily cycle, a gentle pulse. The light moves, and the sea responds. Even the smallest creatures feel its touch. Tiny plankton turn toward it. Their fragile bodies are like miniature lanterns, catching the beams. For them, light is life, a quiet thread that connects them to the sun above and through them, to everything that feeds upon them. The dance of light is not only beauty, it is nourishment, it is rhythm. It is the quiet hand that guides the flow of energy from star to sea, from sea to life. Pause here with me and let yourself rest in the calm of this vision. Imagine you are lying on soft sand at the ocean floor. Above you, the beams move gently, like ribbons of silk. They ripple across your skin, warm, then cool, bright, then dim. You do not move, you simply rest, and the light moves around you. Time slows here. The beams of light remind us that there is no need to hurry. They arrive each morning, they fade each evening. They return again and again and again, steady, reliable, eternal. And so the Cambrian seas learned their rhythm, the first great pulse of day and night, of waking and resting, of glowing and fading. Even now, the same rhythm continues. The light still dances across today's seas, just as it did 500 million years ago. The waves still bend it, scatter it, lay it across the sand like a shifting blanket. And the creatures of today, like those of the Cambrian, still move with its gentle flow. Perhaps, as you listen, you feel that same rhythm. The sun above you, the breath within you, both moving in cycles. Inhale, exhale, light, shadow, awake, rest. The ocean teaches us what life has always known, that balance is found in the dance between light and dark, neither hurried, neither forced, both eternal, both whole. And so, as we close this part of the journey, carry with you the image of those ancient seas, waters painted with golden beams, creatures rising and falling with their glow, a world alive with light soft as silk, gentle as breath. The dance continues. It always has. It always will. Asterisk, we have floated in light. We have watched the beams ripple through Cambrian waters. Now, let us turn our gaze to something new, something subtle, yet deeply important in the long story of life. The arrival of the first hunters do not picture menace or danger. For here, in these ancient seas, nothing is cruel. Nothing is fierce in the way we imagine it today. There is only the quiet experiment of life, trying new shapes, new motions, new ways of being. The Cambrian world is full of small creatures drifting, resting on the seafloor, gathering light or filtering nutrients from the water. But slowly, gently, a different kind of being begins to appear. Asterisk, one that moves not just to wander, but to seek. One that does not wait for food to arrive, but instead glides toward it. Curious, restless, alive with new possibility. The first predators. Imagine, if you will, a trilobite on the sand. It grazes calmly, scraping at the sediment. Then softly, almost like a shadow, another shape glides above. This is a Nomalocaris, one of Earth's earliest great hunters. Its body long and graceful, its movements smooth like flowing silk. It is not fierce, not violent. It is simply following its nature, exploring a way of life never seen before. With large, curious eyes, it watches. With soft, sweeping appendages, it gathers, and with a gentle motion, it draws another creature close. Life, in this moment, learns balance. One lives, another is taken. The energy continues to flow. Nothing wasted, nothing hurried. All part of the endless circle. As you picture these early hunters, think not of danger, but of movement. The way they glide through the water, slowly, almost dreamlike. They bend and twist, their bodies catching the light. They are dancers in this ancient sea, and every movement writes a new step in the choreography of life. Other creatures begin to follow this path. Some grow spines to shield themselves. Some grow shells, thick and protective. Some grow faster, learning to dart, to hide in shadows, to blend with the sand. In this way, the ocean becomes more alive, more varied, more full of gentle experiments. The predators do not end the peace of the Cambrian world. They deepen it, They add rhythm, they add contrast, they bring the ocean into balance. For just as light needs shadow and day needs night, so too does stillness need motion, and drifting needs seeking. Perhaps as you listen, you can feel this balance in yourself. The way your breath drifts in and then out. The way your body rests heavy, yet your thoughts continue to move softly, like gentle currents. The first predators remind us that life is not only stillness, it is also flow. It is also the slow searching, the quiet reaching forward. And yet, even here, nothing is rushed. The hunters glide with patience. The hunted move with grace. And together, they shape the sea into something new. Pause with me here. Imagine you are resting on the ocean floor. The sand beneath you is soft, cool, stable. Above, you see a shadow drift. Long, smooth, slow. It glides past, and then it is gone. No sound, no struggle, just the endless drifting of forms in water. The Cambrian predators are not monsters. They are part of the same soft rhythm. One more thread woven into the fabric of life. And so, the ocean grows more complex. With each new shape, each new way of living, the dance deepens. The world learns harmony through contrast, predator and prey, light and shadows, stillness and motion. 500 million years ago, the sea was already teaching us what balance means. That life is not one thing, but many. Not one rhythm, but layers of rhythms, all moving together, all flowing as one dot. As we drift toward the end of this chapter, let us hold this image close. The early seas, alive with gentle hunters, their movements smooth, their eyes wide and curious. They are not fear, they are not danger. They are the soft unfolding of possibility. The ocean, like a dream, widening, deepening, becoming more itself. And now, with calm hearts, we will continue onward. For, in the next part of our journey, we will explore another transformation, not of hunters and hunted, but of builders, those who begin to shape the seafloor itself, raising reefs of coral, weaving stone into living walls. But for now, rest in the calm balance of predator and prey, both moving together in the quiet waters of the Cambrian Sea. Asterisk, we have watched the first predators glide through the ancient waters. Their movements slow, their balance perfect, their presence adding rhythm to the sea dot. Now, let us drift toward another wonder. Not hunters, not wanderers, but builders, creatures who did not only live in the ocean, but changed the ocean itself. Imagine, if you will, a quiet stretch of seabed. The sand is soft, the water calm. Tiny shells rest here and there, fragments of early life gently collecting dot. At first, nothing seems permanent. Waves shift the sand. Currents scatter what gathers. The seafloor is a place of motion. But slowly, softly, certain creatures begin to anchor themselves. They cling, they cluster, they form colonies, and over countless seasons, they begin to build. Here are the reef builders. In the Cambrian world, They are not yet corals as we know them today. Instead, they are small, simple creatures, sponges, algae, and tiny early organisms, each adding a fragment, each leaving behind a trace of their own body. Piece by piece, layer by layer, they begin to stack upon one another. Their remains harden, their living neighbors grow around them, and slowly a structure rises. It is not tall, it is not grand, but it is enduring. The first reef. Close your eyes for a moment and picture this. A gentle mound in the shallow sea, made of countless tiny lives, bound together into something greater. It does not move, it does not hunt, it simply grows. Be silent, patient, a home for others. For as soon as reefs appear, the ocean changes. Little trilobites find shelter in the cracks. Worm-like creatures hide in the crevices. Tiny swimmers weave among the pillars of sponge and stone. A reef is not only a structure, it is a community. It is a gathering place. It is an island of stillness in the drifting, flowing sea. Think of the reef as a cradle. It holds, it protects, it creates space for life to flourish. And in doing so, it becomes a quiet architect of the ocean's future. Even now, 500 million years later, reefs remain some of the most vital, most life-filled places on Earth. And it all began here. In the soft waters of the Cambrian, there is something soothing in the thought that small, patient builders could shape the world more deeply than the swiftest predator. It was not speed, nor strength, nor teeth that left the longest mark. It was stillness. It was gathering. It was the slow, steady act of building. Perhaps you feel a little like the reef yourself tonight, still anchored, breathing quietly, becoming a resting place for peace. The builders remind us that life does not always need to move quickly, does not always need to seek or to hunt. Sometimes the greatest power is in waiting, in holding, in simply being present long enough for beauty to grow around us. Imagine floating near one of these ancient reefs. The water is shallow. Sunlight pours down through the waves, scattering into soft beams. The reef glows beneath, alive with color, though faint, subtle. Not yet as bright as modern corals, but still a patchwork of living textures. Tiny shapes move in and out. Soft currents pass across your skin. And all around, the builders continue. Bare, slow work, adding layer upon layer, patiently shaping a home for others. This is how life moves forward, not only through the bold, but also through the gentle, not only through the hunters, but also through the keepers of place. The reef stands as a reminder that permanence can come from fragility, that great things can grow from the smallest of beginnings, that stillness, too, is a form of strength. And so the Cambrian Sea, once only open water and drifting sand, now begins to hold structures, now begins to have landmarks, places where life can gather, where variety deepens, where balance becomes richer. The predators glide by, the drifters float, the grazers wander, and here the builders remain, silent, patient, enduring, pause with me once more and take a slow breath. Feel yourself anchored. Feel yourself steady. Like the reef, you are held by the quiet sea around you. The first reefs were small, yet their gift was endless. They gave shape to the waters. They gave shelter to the many. They gave time and space for life to flourish. And so, dear listener, we drift onward, from the hunters to the builders, to another wonder waiting in the deep. For in the next part of our journey, we will wander into the twilight waters, deeper places, darker realms, where light begins to fade, and life learns to glow softly from within. But for now, rest in the stillness of the reef, the calm heart of the Cambrian Sea. And so, the Cambrian Sea grows quiet. The creatures fade into shadow. The waters grow still, and time itself feels endless. You are safe here, floating in the calm of ancient oceans. The world is soft, the night is deep, and sleep is already carrying you away. Good night.
you
you